Welcome to my Freedom Journal journey. I am Nonkululeko Sishi, and in today's episode, I'll be sharing my third emotional perception influence. Now, this particular experience went straight for the heart, and what I got out of it might be something that my family would not be happy hearing, but I have to share nonetheless because it is my truth. And what I also got out of this experience is a very difficult conversation. So I was 12, turning 13 years old, and at the time I was living with my grandmother. My mom had moved to Durban CBD and was living with her then boyfriend. I would visit most weekends, and this particular weekend I was over with her 1 year old grandson. And later in the evening, she broke up with her boyfriend and felt she had to drive him home. Just before she left, she asked me if I'd be comfortable watching my nephew or if she should take him with, and I told her she could leave him. Now, an hour or so later, I received a call from her, and on the other end of the line, she is crying. She tells me that she called to let me know that she is saying goodbye and that she loves me and that she loves us. After she hangs up, I then pack up my nephew's bag. I pack up his diapers, I pack up his formula, and I sit in the living room quietly waiting for my brothers. They come over, they pick us up, we go to my aunt's house, and thereafter we go to my grand's house, and that was the first time I felt comfortable enough to let it all out. I overhear my grandmother letting my younger brother know and my cousin know that he had shot her dead and then taken his own life. There are three ways in which this experience affected me. The first being that it confirmed a belief that I was already carrying with me for the past 5 years, that people are indeed emotional ticking time bombs. And what's worse than taking their own lives, they can take yours along with them. The second thing it led me to believe was that emotional strength is a lot more important than physical strength. Being the third man in my life to attempt to take his life and the second man to succeed, I learned that men are not as emotionally strong as we're led to believe. The third thing that I learned of myself was that I found myself having sympathy for the man that took my mother's life. And the reason I had sympathy was because, one, men are not as emotionally strong as I had learned, and two, he had a daughter that was just about 8 or 9 years old. And so I'm sharing this experience because I realized that moving forward, I really was the kind of person who was extremely aware of how other people felt about themselves. And not only did I have a fear that people could take their own lives, but I then had a fear that they could in turn take mine along with them. And so it further created the distance that I already had with people because of the first suicide experience that I already had. And it also further created in me a very deep need to truly be understanding where all of that comes from people, in order to not just avoid them taking their lives, but affecting those around them. And so I've since sat down and unpacked that, and I've understood that not everyone is as much of a ticking time bomb as I had grown up to believe. And furthermore, the way in which other people feel about themselves is not something that I can take on myself. It's something that they are to take on. And to further not fear getting close to other people, all it requires is an awareness of how I feel about myself and awareness of how they feel about themselves. So I hope that something about this emotional perception influence that I've shared um, helps the next person sit down and unpack with themselves and understand how their experiences has influenced their character that they are living it throughout the day. So you can check out my other emotional perception influences, or otherwise check out my take on the other aspects of who we are through my channel. Take care.